Hi, it's the Soul Whisperer, Amy Shaw here. I am a shamanic practitioner in the Austin, Texas area. I want to make a video today talking about the concept of time and what that really means in shamanic consciousness. The reason I'm making this video is twofold. First of all, I probably haven't made a video in 2.5 months, maybe even longer. I'm pretty backed up. I have 4 or 5, maybe even 6 videos that I am overdue on uploading. I've just been incredibly busy. I think the last video I made, I may have talked about the possibility that this channel was going to evolve and maybe even sort of die out as I have a lot of irons in my fire right now. And I have a really big and exciting new project that I'm working on. Maybe I will talk about it at the end of this video. But that is really consuming a lot of my focus, my resource, my time, and I just haven't been as compelled to take the time to make videos for my YouTube channel. It's not that I haven't had things to talk about, because in the last couple months I've had so much actually that has come across my radar and has been really valuable stuff to talk about. I just haven't really felt compelled to use the resources to make a video. But today in particular, this is what I want to talk about, is time, because time is a valuable resource, and it's something that a lot of us in this very fast-paced, demanding world have to think about every day as we're watching our clocks and trying to be where we need to be at the time we need to be there, and all of that type of thing. So we are very much bound by time in this sort of linear 3D world that we're living in. But in actuality, in shamanic consciousness, time essentially doesn't exist. And the only time that really truly exists is the now time, this moment, the moment that we're experiencing right now. Wherever you happen to be sitting and whatever's going on in and around you, and where I happen to be sitting and what's going on around me, the things that I'm saying at this moment, moment to moment, incrementally, is the only actual time that exists. And the reason this is really coming up for me is yesterday I was in sort of a community discussion, and somebody in the community was talking about, well, she had a suggestion, and she said that one of the techniques that people can use in working with depression or melancholy or a lack of joy is to help people facilitate, or within yourself facilitate, a process of coming to a place of meditation about past experiences or memories, or remembering past experiences that were joyful, that were happy, that were positive experiences. So she was talking about how, the human inclination is to ruminate about the past, and that we often ruminate about things that are negative, that have been traumatic, or that have had a significant sort of quote-unquote negative impact in our life. And that if we want to feel joyful and happy and grateful in life, that we should learn to train our minds to meditate and ruminate about the happy memories of our life, and that everybody can access happy memories of some type or another, even if for every one happy memory you had 9 unhappy memories, if we concentrate on that one happy memory. And I thought this was a really curious statement, because it's not typically how I would work for myself or for other people. So I just mentioned to her casually that another technique might actually be mindfulness, learning how to be present in the moment. So it's sitting in the moment and feeling in the moment and just being fully present in the moment, not so much being, caught up in the past, whether negative or positive, and not so much, thinking about the future, even if that's, something anxious or something really exciting, but embracing and being present in the moment, that actually can have an incredible healing effect and ground people, and that you can find joy in being present in the now time, that it's actually a much more authentic and grounded way to live, and not be so much in your head about out here what's happening, and back there what's happening, but being present in the moment. So while she did agree with me that also was another technique, I thought it was really interesting, her suggestion. And this morning I woke up thinking about that more. especially in terms of like working with people with PTSD, combat injured veterans maybe, that are sort of stuck in that feedback loop and ruminating about a past trauma or several past traumas, and they're unable to sort of break out of that loop. They're just thinking about it over and over and over. And I was thinking about, how important it is to not only break that feedback loop, but I was also thinking about what is actually the nature of reality, what is the nature of time, and how does this fit into a shamanic consciousness? Well, it goes back to what I was saying, that in shamanic consciousness, the only time that truly exists is the now time. And so what this really creates for us is this incredible potential to recreate our reality as we're experiencing it in the now time. And let me explain that a little bit to you. Say something happened to me when I was 4 years old. Maybe it's a really traumatic memory. I mean, it could be a positive memory, but let's just go with the trauma. Let's say when I was 4 years old, there's this one memory that was very traumatic. And I've thought about it over and over and over and over through the years. Well, I'm 45 years old now, so I've had 41 years of experience, of memory, of learning, of reintegrating all these things over and over and over. And so the person I am 41 years later is vastly different, obviously, than the person I was when I was 4 years old. And so all that life experience, all those memories, all that integration, it compounds, within me more and more and more. And it changes, and I evolve, and I progress, and I mature into the person that I am. So the person that I am today as a 45-year-old, looking backwards on that memory that I had as a 4-year-old, is completely different. And I'm not re-experiencing that memory as a 4-year-old in that moment. While there is emotional imprinting that occurs in those moments, especially if it's trauma, it does imprint on the brain, and then it does alter future experiences and how we choose to process and filter them, through our understanding of ourselves and what those mean, even physically how it stores in the body. So there is an imprinting that occurs, and it does store there. But my point is that in that moment, the essence of that experience was completely pure, because it happened in a moment. Everything that occurred after that, it became less and less and less pure, because I'm moving further and further and further away from that actual moment. And so as I'm going back, when I'm adding to that moment, I'm actually literally recreating my past. Sometimes that recreation is to compound the trauma, to make more trauma. So if we're ruminating about the trauma and we're compounding it more and more and more and more and more, it becomes larger and larger, like a seed, and it flourishes into this giant trauma. And likewise, it can be, injecting the memory, that imprinting, with positive things. And so this is where it opens up this incredible creative opportunity for us to use self-expression, whether that's art or some type of improv or, some type of, writing or poetry or acting, all these different things, music, all these different creative expressions that we can use to sort of express the essence of that trauma, but inject into it, the positive things. And part of that is about alchemical transmutation, taking something that is essentially the lead of life, the unwanted material, and turning it into the gold. And so it's a transmutation process that occurs over a period of time. But if you're stuck in that feedback loop, it's hard to process anything, because you're just compounding the trauma. But the point I want to make about that is it wasn't so much to talk about memory or trauma or how to work with it. It was to make the point that in shamanic consciousness, the only actual moment that exists is now. So the future, we can make it what we want by what we put into it. And the past, we can recreate it to be what we want by what we put into it. And so I wanted to just encourage you that the creative potential is so vast. And when we can really pad or buffer this moment that we're experiencing right now, feeling ourselves sitting in our chairs or wherever we're doing, sitting in our cars, sitting on our couch, whatever we're doing working out at the gym, whatever you're doing. At this moment, you can really ground yourself and be present in the moment in all of your 5 senses and all the senses above those 5 senses. You can really ground yourself in that and be in the moment and present and experiencing that. And in that, you will feel a sense of life, a sense of being alive, and naturally will come intuitively this sense of joy from that. So you can do that, but also creatively pad this moment around you, not by going back, ruminating back in time about positive memories that you've had. Because to me, I think potentially, if I was to lead someone in that direction, and that, for me, that could potentially lead to depression, because if I'm reliving experience that I had back then, and I'm not having that experience right now in this moment, while I'm sort of inviting the energetic imprint of that happy moment into my space, I can also, if I get into my head at all, start to feel like, well, I missed that, or I wish my life was still like that, or, these kind of thoughts. And so for me, I would not tell somebody to ruminate about their past, whether it's positive or negative, but to be fully present in the moment and to understand the potential that you have to recreate the past in any way that you want it to be, by interjecting all the things that you are now, today, all the creativity, all the experience, all the wisdom, and all the potential that is there. So my 45-year-old self can look back on that 4-year-old self, and even if there was a trauma that occurred there, I can interject, a much more positive thing and recreate that memory for myself, in a sense, to make it a positive memory and no longer a negative memory. But I do that from the place of recognizing that right now, the moment that I have now, is the only true moment, the only moment that actually exists. Everything else in the past and everything else that's coming in the future is a projection. It's a creation of our own selves. So, we really truly are creative, amazing beings living in this human consciousness, and there's so much potential and opportunity for us. And I just wanted to encourage you in that. I wanted to take a minute to talk about that and encourage you in that. And if you'd like to work a little bit on recreating some of your past, I would love to do that with you. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of techniques, and a lot of fun things that I can help you do with that. It's one of the reasons that I'm a soul collage facilitator, and I see creativity as an essential part of the shamanic path for myself. That's my particular shamanic path. Definitely creative expression. The arts are a big part of that. The arts are also a big part of my new project, the Urban Shaman, and I was hoping to, segue into talking a little bit about that before I close this video out, because it's consuming so much of my time and my focus, and it's a wonderful thing. I'm happy to do that, to be a part of this project. I just want to take the moment to invite you over to our websites to check us out. You can see us at theurbanshaman.org, and that will give you an overview, and there's a lot of good stuff on there, tell you kind of who we are, what we're about, what our vision is, what our mission is, what our goals are, and all that important stuff. And then the actual magazine itself is hosted at theurbanshaman.online. And it is a subscription-based service, so if you head over there, you're not going to be able to really access too many articles at this point, but you will be able to see the articles and see the sort of excerpts, the short descriptions of them, to see the kinds of things that we're writing about, talking about, and that type of thing. I'm getting ready to do an artist spotlight very shortly. I'm very excited about that, a pretty famous artist. And I have a lot of other artists that maybe are not so famous, but they're really, really good at what they're doing. I'm very expressive, very visionary, and I'm so excited to be able to give them the platform to share with the rest of the world, to encourage and inspire other people. And that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we're doing. So come over to the Urban Shaman, check us out. If you have questions about that, want to reach out to me, you can email me either through the emails here you'll find on my YouTube channel, or at the editor at theurbanshaman.online. I would love to hear from you, talk to you if you have ideas to contribute to the project. I'd love to hear that too. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really honor and respect you. I hope that you have a great day.